Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about Vlookup function. Vlookup function is one of the most important function in data analysis. In this video session, I am going to perform Vlookup function in 5 ways. After seeing this video, definitely you will play with the Vlookup function. In this video session, in some places, I have used freezing methods. If you don't know about them, please watch my video Basic Guide for Excel Formulas. And the link is given in the description box. Please go through the link. And wherever freezing methods have been used in this video, you can find this symbol at the top right corner. Following after the link also, you will be unrouted to the video. Alright, before we start with our formula, I'll explain few words about the data. Purely this data is related to insurance policies with the 500 rows of data. Based on this data, I have to populate this small report. Okay, now let us start with our formula. Vlookup function has 4 parameters. First one is lookup value, table array, column index number, range lookup. In normal words, lookup value means what you want to look up. Table array means where you want to look for it. Column index number means the column number in the range containing the value to return. And range lookup means exact match or approximate match. Alright, let us start with our formula. Okay, equal to Vlookup function. So the function is asking me to give the lookup value. This is the lookup value, and I'll go for freeze method, column freeze and comma. Our lookup value is policy, and table array also should start from the policy. For our visible purpose, I kept a frame around the table array. Right now, I'll choose the table array, and I'll go for total freeze method and comma. Now I need to give the column index number. Column index number expiry, the column is the second position from the policy number, right? So I need to give 2, and then I need exact match. To replicate the exact match, I put 0 and close parenthesis, enter. I got the value, right? I'll apply for the rest of the rows. I'll press Ctrl R to apply the formula for rest of the columns. The same date is populated for rest of the columns. Okay, for the location it needs to retrieve this column data, and issued value it needs to return this column F column data. Actually the location column position is third from the policy number column, right? So in this formula I need to change this 2 to 3, right? And press enter, and I'll apply to the rest of the rows. Okay, as like the same way, issued value column is there at the 4th position from the policy number. So I'll make it 4 instead of 2. Okay, it is showing in date format. Let me convert into number format. In this way, we can get values from the source data and we can populate reports. Now let us see second way to write Vlookup function combined with column function. In the previous method, we have 3 columns only, and the column number indexes are 2 and 3 and 4, right? Just think for a moment that you have 15 columns, 20 columns. If you have to write for column index number for 2, 3, 4 like that, that takes so much of time. To avoid that glitch, we can write column function. Now let's have a look what column function actually do. Start with equal to column function, and just it is asking us to pass the reference, but actually I don't want to pass that. Closing parenthesis, enter. It gave me the number 12. Okay, that means from the A column, L column is at the 12th position, right? If I give any reference like A1, I'll give A1 cell reference, I'll put enter. It gave me 1. I'll press Ctrl R to repeat the same function towards right side. I'll press Ctrl R. Okay, it is giving me 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. Here I have 7 columns. I need the numbers to be populated 2 to 8. If I impute this column function into Vlookup function, then my requirement will be fulfilled. Let us start with the function is equal to Vlookup. I'll go with row freeze and comma, table array from the policy column, and this is the table array. I'll do total freeze method, and now I have to give the column index number. Instead of putting 1 2 3 4 5, I'll put just column function. Column expiry column is at the second position from the policy number column. So here exactly number 2 has to be returned, right? So for that thing I'll put just B1, right? Closing parenthesis, comma. Now I'm done with this column index number, comma, and I need to give the 0 and press enter. It has returned the value. I need to convert this value as date format. Okay, all right. I'll apply for the rest of the rows, and I'll apply this for rest of the columns, control R. Okay, wherever the number is involved, by default it converted as date, so I'll put in a number format. By using column function, I got the results in one shot. Now let us see the third way to write Vlookup function combined with the columns function. In the previous method, we have seen column function. In this method, we are going to use columns function. Okay, let us show you columns function. Okay, it is asking us to pass the array. Okay, just I'll give two cells address and I'll give close parenthesis and enter. This function will do give the count of selected columns. In this function, two columns are involved. Okay, so if I drag towards right, the number 222 is, continuously the number is repeating, right? So actually number sequential should be 2 3 4 5 like that, right? I'll use freezing method over here. I'll freeze this range begin cell address. This is total freeze, and here I'll freeze row freeze. Okay, I'll press enter, then I'll press Ctrl R to get the values, right? You can see 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. In this formula, L1 is freezed, right? Okay, if you see in this cell, L1 is freezed, but N1, it is the formula is extended to N1. If you see in this cell, L1 is freezed, but the formula is extended up to S1. Like so on and so forth, our sequential numbers will be generated, right? I'm going to use this formula inside Vlookup function, right? I'll start with the Vlookup function, Vlookup. Lookup value is this. I'll go for column freeze and comma, and I'll give table array from the policy till the end. I'll go for total freeze method and comma, column index number. So here I'll write the columns function. Columns function. You can choose any two columns, right? In this function, I'm going to include n column, o column, right? So I'm going to freeze this n2 total freeze method. Okay, right? And this o2 cell address, I'll make this as row freeze. Okay, I'll put closing parenthesis. Now I'm done with the column index number, right? Comma, then I'll put 0 closing parenthesis, enter. The value is returned. I'll apply for the rest of the rows as well as rest of the columns. Okay, I'll put this in date format. Okay, my requirement is done. Now let us see the fourth way to write Vlookup function using array method. Okay, here we have our columns in a jumbled method. Actually, the columns are not sequential. Actually, the business type column is at the 6th position, and location is at the 3rd position, and issued value at the 4th position, and expiry is at the 2nd position. Actually, these columns are jumbled. Okay, so to achieve this requirement, we can use array method. Before we write the Vlookup function, select all the columns, right? Then let us start with the Vlookup function. Vlookup. Now lookup value is this. Okay, in this array method, no need to go for freezing methods, right? Just I'll put comma, and table array as usually is from the policy number to flood column, and no need to freeze the table array, and put the comma. Here for the column index number, just open a curly brace. Okay, inside of that you need to get business type, location, issued value, expiry. These columns are at the position of 6 comma 3 comma 4 comma 2. Means business type is at 6th position, location column at 3rd position, insured value at the 4th position, and expiry at the 2nd position. So that's why I gave in the sequential order of 6 3 4 2, right? And then comma, put 0 and closing parenthesis, press Control Shift Enter. I repeat, Control Shift Enter. The value has been arrived. Okay, apply for the rest of the rows. I'll convert this format into date format. Okay, my requirement is done. Now let us see the fifth way to write Vlookup function combined with match function. In the previous example, we worked with the 4 columns only. In case you need to work with around 40 columns, it is highly hard to remember the column sequential numbers. To overcome that glitch, we can use match function. Alright, let us see how match function works. Equal to, start with a match function. Lookup value, just I'll give the column header, I'll put comma, and it is asking me to look up array. I'll give the data set column headers. Go for total freeze method and comma and put 0, right? Close parenthesis, enter. Okay, we got 6. That means this business type column is positioned at 6th. Okay, you can see 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yes, it's perfect. Like that, it will give the column position numbers. Now we can directly use this match function into VLOOKUP function at the position of column index number. So why are you waiting for? Let's drill down. Start with the VLOOKUP function. VLOOKUP, as usually lookup value is this, and go for column freeze, and table array is this. Start from the policy number and go for total freeze, comma. In this column index number position, I will write match function. Match function. Here I need to give lookup value, that is the column header. Okay. Here I'll go for freeze method of row freeze. Okay. Now lookup array is purely these headers only. Go for total freeze and comma, put 0 for exact match, closing parenthesis. Now we are done with the column index number. Then we have to give true or false. Okay. 0 represents false and closing parenthesis, enter. Okay, I'll put for rest of the rows as well as rest of the columns. In one shot, my job is done.